Hello everyone, it's Vladimir here from Foxy Voxel. So even though Going Medieval is out of early access, it doesn't mean that we're done with the game. We have a bunch of things planned, and we want to do so through steady updates as time goes by. The first major update after early access is called the Quality of Life Update. So why are we calling it that? We're calling it that because it's a bunch of small features and improvements to the game that we added, but there's not one theme that it revolves around. So it's not like the construction update or something like that. It's just the quality of life update. And I want to talk about all of the nice things that we added since the game launched in March this year. So get yourself comfortable and let's see what Foxy Voxel has added to the game. First of all, we added a bunch of changes to our pathfinding system. That was like the number one thing that you guys complained about, and it's okay. I mean, you have the right to complain about it because it was something that was lacking. We now changed the way our settlers calculate the path that they want to take. Now they do a quick assessment of what is the shortest path and compare it with other paths that they calculated and choose the shortest one. For instance, that's most noticeable for production, where if you have two production stations, settlers will choose the closest one. I mean, there's a lot of other things that can influence that. Their skill level, the parameters that are set up in the production station itself, but now they will choose the shorter one. The other best place to see this is in hauling. Now they kind of haul smarter. They choose the piles in a much smarter way, what they're going to pick up and put in their storage and take to the stockpile. So all in all, it will make for less friction in the experience of your settler's behavior. The best place to notice our better pathing system is in construction. Now, if, for instance, you place a wall here and the settler can reach it from the bottom layer, they will. I mean, if the bottom layer is closer, they won't go further around. It is a bit tricky to make them behave exactly the way you intended them to behave, and sometimes they won't. But what we were trying to do is just to make them not lose a bunch of time on stuff. For instance, before, if you wanted to make a bridge over this canal here, they would sometimes take the longer route and start building from the other side instead of building from the side that's closest to them. Now we added a bunch of tricks. Well, I call them tricks, but they're not tricks. They're just small systems that take stuff into consideration because the game doesn't really know, what do you want? Do you want your one settler to build this part, the other settler to wait for this part to be built and then build these floors here? Or do you want him to run over outside and cross this bridge and start building from this side? So we added a bunch of safety nets for those situations, and now, in my opinion, feels much more comfortable, and it seems like they're not wasting that much time as they did before. I mean, they're still small robots that are doing stuff. They're not smart people. But yeah, we're trying to add stuff that makes them think a bit better. For instance, now they construct in clusters. So if you place a building to be constructed, they will kind of reserve a cluster of buildings that they're going to work on. So you don't have 15 settlers running to build 15 floors, but you have one settler that's trying to build 9 of those floors as a cluster or something like that, while a different settler is building the rest, just like they're not wasting time. Other thing that we added is when you order them to build something, before they would just take resources that they need. I think for walls, it was for 5 walls. That's it. And that would make issues where they would, let me just try to add to that. That would be an issue where you place you want this wall to be built. Let me see if I have a constructor. Yeah. You want this wall to be built and your settler would bring bricks for 5 walls and that's it. Now they bring more, but they drop what they don't need here. And this pile is not allowed to be hauled to a stockpile, but other settlers will be using these piles to build this wall. The thing that happens because of this is sometimes they bring more than they need, but it's still less of a hassle for them to go back and forth to get resources than to just, bring more resources than they need. And this is especially good if you have I saw some players like building stuff like this. For instance, you have this nice tall wall here, and you want your settlers to start building this. And what would happen before is your settler would bring bricks for this wall and build it, and like that's it. That he would run and bring bricks for this wall and, just waste a bunch of time on that. But with this system, they have all the resources they need on the wall, and they don't need to go. This is even better. So they brought a bunch of resources for all of the walls and only have one settler building. This saves a lot of time, not having them just running around for one wall at a time. This is going to be a nice time saver, even though you need to be looking at it to notice that it's different. But I think it's a very good addition to the behavior of our settlers. Next up, for construction, while we're at a construction, we added something that we call plan mode. It's default to P, but you can change it. So plan mode means that when you're placing blueprints, they're forbidden by design and nobody will build them. But you can plan out your structure this way without anybody starting to build stuff. And then if you're annoyed with just looking at this, we added this overlay here where you can just turn it off. But the moment you go into construction mode, it shows. So you won't be like, oh, where's my blueprint at? But you can still just, show it like this, hide it like this if you don't want to look at it. Also, when you go into like cancel tool or allow tool, it also shows. But like these tools like hunt, fish, cut will not show it. Mining will also show it because digging and mining and constructing is a similar thing for us because you're kind of making rooms by, destroying voxels and stuff like that. So that's plan mode. I guess some people will be excited about it. I know I like it. I kind of use this forbid system while making stuff when I plan stuff. And I was talking to one of the guys in the team. He was like, maybe we need like a ghost version of the building that's kind of the planning mode. And I said, yeah, but why not use just, the forbid tool? He's like, you can forbid blueprints? And yeah, so not even our team members knew that you can forbid blueprints. So that's why this is what we added as our plan mode. Like, you guys are going to let us know if that's good enough or if it's anything interesting that you're going to end up using. Next on our list, this is something that people have been asking for a long time, but in a kind of a different way. People were always asking for upgrading buildings. So like, I want to upgrade my walls from wooden to rock. The thing is, we never looked at it as upgrading. So if you want a wooden wall, you make a wooden wall. You want a block wall, you make a block wall. And it's not like you're upgrading anything. It's just you want to replace it with something. So we never saw it like as a tier system, like, oh, now this is a weak wall, now I have a stronger wall. Even though it is, I know, in like defense way, but in, isolation, clay walls are the best for insulating, not isolating. Clay walls are the best for temperature and stuff like that. What we added was this nifty tool here, so replace structure. Clicking on it gives you what you have selected and gives you the option of what you want to replace it with. So if we, for instance, select all of these walls, it's going to say we have 69 walls and we can replace them with limestone wall. And that's going to cost us 345 limestone. We can say accept, we can, choose what we want, or we're going to cancel. But the cool thing is you can select a bunch of things. So yeah, staircases work also, cool. Select floors. And then when you go replace, you have all of the things that you selected. You can say, okay, replace this with a limestone floor, replace this with door. Okay, this is going to be limestone wall. Let's replace this with clay brick stairs, and let's replace this with wicker floor. And hitting accept just spawns blueprints in there. So it's the same system we already had before, where you could place a door inside of a wall and it would replace it. And this will just make your settlers come and build walls here. The thing that we did is we made the existing building be destroyed once the new building is built. That way you don't lose any stability. So you don't want your roof collapsing, and that's basically the idea behind it. And yeah, it seemed like a very simple thing to do, and I think that when we implemented it, it was like, wow, this was easy. This was a few days of work. And then we had a bunch of cases like, no, it doesn't work in this case. No, it bugs out in this case. It turned into a few weeks of work. I mean, just like polishing and stuff like that. But now that you have them in blueprint form, you can cancel them if you don't want them. You can even replace them with other types. Where's the blueprint? Yeah, here's the blueprint. So you can replace the blueprint with a new blueprint because it's just a new blueprint that exists there. You can also forbid those blueprints if you don't want them to work on this right now, and even like hide them if you don't want to look at them. But let's allow them and have our settlers just work on those when they wake up. So yeah, that's structure replacement. Next thing we added is stability info. So this is also something that people were asking us to add for a long time now, and we added it. First, we wanted to add it like a color map, something similar to like temperature or aesthetics that we have. But we opted for this because you don't need to know the stability of everything. You need to know the stability of what you're placing. So for instance, if this floor is 4, anything you place that's attached to the floor is going to be 3. And like this floor is 4, this is 3, this is 2, then the one attached to it will be 1. And for instance, if you hover here, you see it's 4 and it's 0 because you can't attach anything to the top edge of Voxel like this. You would need to place a blueprint. Oh, we're still in plan mode. Place a blueprint, and then with that blueprint, place it to be adjacent to it. And that adjacent blueprint will be stability 3, as we can see like now. So yeah, we also updated the tutorial for it in the almanac, so you can read about info around this. Also, there's no hotkey for it, but you can add it in the options. We just didn't add one for it, but you can, assign a key that you want for it. So yeah, that's stability values. Cool. After that is repairing items. So this is something also a lot of you guys were asking for. Oh, you can see the pattern here. So we're just adding stuff that people are asking for. Just like we have dismantle items, now we have repair items. The trick is that you need some resources for it to be repaired. So for a wooden item, you need some wood to repair it. You can't just repair out of thin air. You need to waste something. Even though it's not that important, like you're going to waste 2 pieces of wood to fix bow or something like that. We say like, oh, clear all, fix only war bows. And by default, they will fix things that are from 0 to 90% of hit points. We didn't want to set it to 100 because that wouldn't make sense. Then settlers would automatically start fixing every single item on your map, even though it has 0.01 hit points missing. By default, it's like a 90. But this is repair material hit points, so if you want them only to use wood pieces that are 15% hit points, you can. And yeah, that's about it. Now they're gonna run over and fix warbows and use 5 wood to fix them. What it just does is it just heals the item, it brings back its hit points, the quality of the item stays the same, so nothing changes. We even wanted to experiment with like quality changes, so if you have a very bad carpenter, then I don't know, your warbow will become lower quality, or if he's an awesome carpenter, then the warbow becomes better quality. But that was kind of weird because if you want to fix a specific thing and you want your settler to pick it up via the manage panel and everything, I don't think you want to lose your superior bow by turning it into a flimsy bow or whatever happens. So we opted out of it. We were like, no, let's just make it a simple. It just takes a bit longer for low-level settlers, nothing else. And they get a bit of experience from it, so it's a good training production for your carpenters and, woodwork people and metalwork people. So you have repair metal stuff, repair wood stuff, and where's my clothing stuff at? I don't know. Where's my sewing? I don't know if I even have one. So you can repair cloth items. That's it for repairing stuff. Next thing we have is animal variations. So this is something one of our devs added just as something that he wanted to add. He's a cat lover and he wanted to add a bunch of cat variations to the game. So now you have several variations of cats, several variations of dogs. So for instance, this cat is, I don't know how to read this name. Is it Tabby? So that's the color of the cat. So I didn't know that that kind of color is called tabby. And you can see even the dog. This dog is black and white. We have one more dog. I think this one is fawn. Wow, cool. Our donkeys also have chestnut color. So it does nothing for gameplay, but I think it's a very, very cool addition to the game where our animals have like variations now. And it's fairly easy to add if somebody wants to mod some more colors in, because you can mod in a texture for the animal or you can mod in just a color overlay. So as you can see, our chickens are nice and colorful now. Even goats have like different colored pieces. So this one is tan. Oh, cool. What's this one? This one, I don't want to butcher this word. I don't know how to read it. So that's animal variations. And also, like when they die, they leave the same variation of carcass and also the same variation of trophy if you make it. And we added it so that if a mother is one color, it'll, a very simple genetic system, it's going to spawn animals that have similar color. The dev also added, like for cats, so only female cats can have a certain color, while male cats have their different set of colors, and some of them can't be gotten one from another. Also, when they have babies, their babies have colors from the mother and father and stuff like that. Also, we added some small mutation chance, so they can spawn some color variations that their mother and father do not have, but the babies can get. And also we added very rare colors like albino stuff. So you could maybe find albino bear somewhere, but there's like a very small percentage chance of that happening. And also you can change all that in like a JSON file and don't care. And you know, if you want to, that's cool. Change it, mod it, why not? The game's your oyster. You could do whatever you want. Yeah, see, they're replacing the buildings nicely now. That's cool. And yeah, you get your resources back, so that's cool. But I think you get a little less resource for some buildings, a little less for some buildings the same. But yeah, it's a nice practical way of just, you know, upgrading your buildings, even though I don't like calling it that. Okay, where were we? We're at animal variations. After that, I want to talk about animal sleeping spots and animal sleep behavior. So until now, we had very simple rules, like domestic animals would idle around in the home area. So home area is like 15 meters from a building is home area. So anywhere you have your building, like even if you had one floor here, this would be called the home area and they would idle there. But pets would idle in the Great Hall, and similar to settlers would idle where settlers idle. But now we also changed that. We changed that and we added it in the overview panel. If you go to domestic animals, you have their sleep preferences, and if you're letting them idle inside, they would basically idle in as they would before if they were pets. And sleep preferences, you can tell them you want them to sleep outside, want to sleep inside, in quarters, or anywhere. So inside in quarters sounds like it's similar, and it kind of is. In quarters just means in like a room. So if in quarters is clicked, they will sleep in any sleeping room that they can find. But if they have their owner or assigned to a settler, then they will try to sleep in their quarters. The animal sleeping spot is just something that, let me just turn on auto construct. So animal sleeping spot is just a spot where they would prefer to sleep. If it's in a room of a settler, then they're going to prefer to sleep there. Okay, this is interesting. So if we place it here, like, oh cool, now if somebody has a pet here, the pet's gonna sleep on that place, while other animals that are allowed to sleep inside will sleep here in front of the door. But if you let them sleep in quarters with their owner, and that owner doesn't have animal sleeping spot in his room, the animal will just sleep on the floor. It's okay. It's just like a nice way just to place things where you want your animals to sleep. You can also add this into your barn, and the domestic animals will use that to sleep in the barn. But wild animals won't sleep on it, so don't worry. It's not going to get a wolf to sleep there. One of the main reasons why we added this allow idle inside is we didn't want all of your animals pooping all over the place, because I know that some people are annoyed by it and I understand it, but I think that dogs and cats are automatically allowed to idle inside. So, they're pets, they're cool, but you can turn it off if it annoys you and you don't want them running around. It's up to you. After that, I want to talk about idling settlers. So now my settlers are doing a bunch of things, but I can turn that off. Still, let's see them if they're idling, like what they're gonna do. What we added is, before they would just like walk around and be very weird about it. I don't know how to say it, but now they kind of have a little bit more interesting behavior. So now they would just use chairs to sit down if they can, continue eating if they're already sitting down. They can even lean on walls if there is a place in the room to lean on a wall. They can squat around if they don't have anywhere to sit. And they now emote with their hands when they're talking to each other. So yeah, look at these guys. One of it is leaning there, the other one leaning like this. It's a nice addition. Yeah, and this guy's, he's explaining something. Yeah, talking about stuff. We just wanted to add a bit more Sims-like life to our settlers. Not to go overboard, because it's not Sims-like game, but just some interesting things to happen there. And this allows them to have social interactions that we are also worked on, and that's also something I wanted to talk about. What we noticed is the game was pretty easy in the beginning when you think about the mood of your settlers. It was very easy to keep everybody happy. It was very easy to have everybody at 100% happiness and to not think about it at all. But what we're trying to do is, we don't want it to be that kind of game. We don't want you to obsess to have everybody at 100% happiness. That shouldn't be the case. You need to try to keep them at middle happiness. That's why the game doesn't tell you like, oh, here's a bar of happiness of all your settlers and keep that bar high. No, it's like, it warns you when somebody's not feeling well, somebody's annoyed, but not like, oh, everybody's at 100%, keep at it, A great green number 100 somewhere, We try not to do that. But at the same time, it was kind of underutilized, and we made it a bit harder to do it. So it's easier to get your settlers annoyed. They more easily go into bad moods. But there's a big but. The rebellious mode that they had before is now much shorter. Before it was 18 hours rebellious, so basically your settler is useless for 18 hours. Now your settler is useless only for 6 hours. But they all can have various forms of rebel versions. So some settler will go and drink until they puke. Some settler will go and eat until they puke and rupture their stomach. Some of them will go outside of the home area and sit under a tree, while others may go on an insult spree and like heckle their fellow settlers. And they can even start a social fight and just like duke it out with their fists. So we tried to add as much variations as we could, just to make it a bit more interesting and to give them some personality, a bit more personality than they had before. Also, what we added is the merry state. So even before we had something called the merry state, it's this small smile here. So your settlers might go into merry state, and before it was just like they get a global work speed modifier. But now merry state is also different from settler to settler. So some settlers, when they go into merry state, they heal faster. Some settlers have interesting, unique things that happen when they're in merry state. So for instance, the gourmet perk can be, I don't know what we call it, he's gastronomically inspired. So if he's making a simple meal, he can quote unquote accidentally make lavish meal because he's in the zone, he's in a good mood, and he's using all his simple resources to create something lavish. And also, I think that some of the animal adjacent perks will have a much larger chance of taming an animal while in Merry State. So Merry State is basically a small reward for you keeping the spirits high of your settlers. Also, now some settlers emit like some sort of area of effect. Like, this guy, he's annoyed by Redmond because he has the perk called Churl. I'm not sure. I'm butchering it. I don't know how to read it. And I know that there's like some perks that are annoyed if they see other people working at all. They're like, look at this guy. He's making stuff and he doesn't know what he's doing. And then they're annoyed. And while others have very soothing presence and people feel good about them, other settlers are happy when that other settler is invited to a feast and whatnot. And with that, we made various changes to the affection system. So the affection system before was pretty hard to understand. That's like the feedback we got. People didn't know, like, what does the two numbers mean? Now we added some more explanation there. We added a bit more history now. Perks also have, in code it's called chemistry, but here it says gets along with or doesn't get along with list. So that means that by default, they're going to have -10 affection maximum towards that settler with that perk. So as you can see, this girl has affection range 90 towards Juet. So you can never be like besties with her because 90 is her cap. And that's something that we're going to build upon even more as we work more on settler relationships. This is just a starting point. So they can also start fighting if they insult each other enough times. So there's a small chance that they're gonna start fighting. Some perks have a larger chance to start fighting on insult. So like there are some not so delicate perks that are very eager to start fighting. Also some perks will start fighting when drunk or start fighting when in rebel mode. So yeah, that's about it for rebellious changes. Honorable mentions, we added a room planning system. So if you click on the room here, you can choose what you want to turn this room in. And it's going to say what you need to have in the room and what you have at this moment. So this is a great hall. So when I select it, I already have all the things needed for it to be a great hall. So it's a cool feature that just, helps you sometimes when like, I don't know why this room isn't a great hall. It's like, let me see. It's smaller than it should be, or I'm missing one stool or one chair or something like that, and I think it's pretty neat. After that, small combat changes that we added. So for instance, before it was pretty easy. Early on, if you get attacked on like a bit higher difficulty, all of your settlers die very easily. Now we added this like saving grace system where when you have a small amount of settlers, the killing blow will never kill them, just make them unconscious. Still doesn't mean that they're saved, that they're going to be okay because they can still bleed out very easily, but it just gives you a bit more of a chance to, patch them up and continue playing. That saving grace system kind of stops the more settlers you have. It's just like a starting thing that we wanted to add. Also for combat, we finally added when you lose a raid, the enemies will calculate your resources and what resources they can reach, and they're going to take something, they're going to take something valuable, and it calculates like how many enemies survived, how much they can carry. So now you lose something when you get defeated. While before it was like, I get defeated, nothing happens, it's cool. And also when there's like the event of the runaway and you say, no, we don't want to return that person back. If you lose, they're going to take that person if that person is still alive. All in all, battles are going to be a little bit more stake in it. It's not just like, easy. Even if I lose, it's all cool. Also, what we added is pet graves. Nothing fancy. We just added in graves, you can just say, I want a pet to be buried there. That's it. Also, with burning bodies, you can select burning animal body, and you can select what kind of animal you want to burn there. So if you want just to burn pets or wild, because burning bodies is a production, it also works in production of meat. So you can choose them not to butcher pets if you don't want to. Because I think I heard a story of one of our devs where he had a cat and it died. And he was like, I want to, maybe make it into a trophy or something. And when he was trying to find the body of the cat, he only found like cat leather on the stockpile, and he was sad. And then another dev jumped in and made this. So, cat lovers all around. And that's about it. I hope you guys like what we're putting out now, what we're working on. Please, if you want to stay up to date, join our Discord, follow us on all the social media accounts that we have, and a lot of cool stuff is being posted on Reddit. More things are gonna come by the end of the year. Don't want to promise anything for now, but we're working hard. It's not the end of updates for Going Medieval. A lot of cool stuff is planned, so stay tuned and have fun with the new update.